So we're going to work quite a lot today into hips, which is why we need the two props. It's going to be fun. Just check you can hear. It's a little wave. Yeah, I can't really see. I think you're waving. I'm going to sit nice and tall in Sukhasana, which is when we bring the heels in and shins on the floor. So attempting to get the knees lower than the front hip bones and allowing the pelvis to move into a neutral position, getting a nice long spine, and then just seeing how the hips feel, how open they feel this morning or not, and then letting yourself settle with your breath and close your eyes, loosen the jaw if that feels good, and think about stretching your shoulders wide and out. Get that feeling of a little bit of opening through the chest as well. So a nice easy start just to settle ourselves in, get used to the idea of we're about to take a yoga class. From here, we'll just take the arms out gently and take a surface stretch. So I'm going to bring that right arm across, lock the left arm underneath and draw the right shoulder round. Try and keep it low away from the ears and breathe into the space underneath that shoulder blade. And we'll release the arms out and then cross them over the other way. So nice, easy stretch. And we'll release the arms out. And the fingertips onto the collarbones and some angel wings. So we'll bring the elbows together. Inhale them towards the sky. Roll them back, see how they feel. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, bring the elbows in towards the ribs, and then slow and low across the front of the ribs, front of the chest, and then lifting up. So making these big, beautiful circles. And noticing if there's any tightness, restrictions. They just may be a little bit noisy first thing in the morning. Take them in the opposite direction a couple of times. And we'll let the hands come back down. We're going to take a static twist. So we're just going to turn to the left. So one hand on the thigh, one hand behind on the floor. Looking over that rear shoulder, just easy breathing. And then we'll come back into the center. And take it across the second side. Again, just noticing if there's any differences in the shoulders and the neck or rotation. And we'll come back into the center. draw the arms towards the sky, directly above the shoulders, and we'll flow through the twist. So this time we'll take it to the left, letting the hands come down on the exhale, inhaling high, rotating around, exhaling down. And working with your own breath, so you might be flowing a little faster or slower than me. One of the things, the breathing with the movement, is that we want the breath to be pretty much equal on the inhale and the exhale in terms of duration. So normal breath, the exhale is a little longer, either 1.5 or 2 times as long. This is more of a 1-to-1 ratio. And we're going to let ourselves come back into the center. We'll move on to all fours. And just before we do that, we'll sit back on the heels and take the block behind the toes. Then we'll come up onto all fours and just take a little bit of cat-cow. Now I'm going to purposefully stretch the little finger and the thumb as far apart from each other as I can. So the biggest expanse through the hands possible. And a nice slow exhale, drawing the belly in, rounding through the middle back. To keep the hips as much as I can directly above the knees through the duration, rather than moving around in the body. That way I get a little bit more active movement through the spine and the pelvis, rather than by moving the extremities around underneath. So I come back into a neutral position, press the hands into the floor, so rounding the shoulders a little bit, protracting, and then I'm going to tuck the toes underneath, lift the knees away, and you might still need to move the block a little bit further back, but I'm going to see if I can lower the heels onto the block. Now, if your feet are very close, that would be easy to do. If your feet are a long way away, it might be a little bit more tricky. But we're just going to press the heels gently onto the block, draw the belly in, and lift the toes away from the ground. Just to make our down dog a little different for today. And spread the toes out as well as when you're lifting them away. Remember to press the hands down and away. It helps push you back a little bit. And then we're going to release from there, toes to the floor. I'm going to take the heels and leave them on the corner edges of the mat, but just turn the toes out to the side, about 45 degrees, so that as I bring my hands back, I can squat down easily. And I'm just going to take the hands apart. They're not quite touching the floor, but they can touch the floor if you need. And I'm just pressing the arms into the inner thighs a little bit to draw them out further. So you might adjust the feet if you need to. Now I'm going to slowly take my right hand down to the floor. So I'm going to lean out to the side. And as I do, I'm going to open up the left arm behind me and out and up. So it's a diagonal twist. Come back in, bring the hands back into the same place. So the hands in my case are a few inches off the floor. Lean to get the left hand palm to the floor and then open out to the right. Bring the hand back into the center. And we're going to do this about 3 times to each side. Trying to keep the legs apart So rather than using the arms to do that, actually focusing a little bit on opening the arms and the legs in the same direction. I'll finish the last time over to that left side. And come back into the center. Now I'm going to move myself into a plank. So just walking the fingers forwards, the hips lift the heels off the block, and take myself gently forwards. And let the knees bend and bring them down to the floor underneath the hips. And I'm going to flow threading a needle. So I'm going to take the right hand up towards the sky on the breath in. Fold that underneath. Shoulder and ear to the ground. Let myself lift that back up as it brings in. And bring it through again. Do that 3 more times. Coming back onto the tabletop position and move over to the left. A little bit of creaking and cracking and popping going on in the spine. These are quite big rotations. Gets into that thoracic lumbar joint area around that part of the back. And I come back onto all fours. Bring the toes together, keep the knees in the same position, and then sink down into child's pose. Just stretch the hands as far forward as I can. Come up onto the fingertips, draw the belly in, and send the tailbone backwards towards the back of the mat. Draw those breaths into the rib cage. Let them stretch out wide. And then bring the hands back onto the mat. We'll take down dog. As we take down dog, I'm just going to use my foot to move the block out of the way behind me. And then walk the dog out a little bit from side to side. See how that feels. So getting a little gentle movement through that SI joint. Come back into steady down dog, bring the feet onto the center line, toes touch, and we'll take a scissor dog, right leg lifts, the hips open out to the side, and then we'll drop the heel in towards the buttock as we bend the knee, flexing the foot. I'm going to take some hip circles. Draw the knee back in towards the chest, holding that down dog. Take the knee out to the side, lift it up, roll it round, bring it back in. So that's 2. 3. 4. 5. Extend the leg back up towards the sky. And then bring the foot to the floor, side by side. Take it over to the other side. So there's that left leg. Drop the heel in, flex the foot. Draw the knee in. Out to the side. Back into the belly. Take the last rotation. And then extend the leg up to the sky again. Last little stretch out. Bring the foot down. Now take your feet about hip distance apart. Walk the hands towards your toes into a forward fold. Couple of breaths here. Hands come onto the ribs, shoulders and elbows back. Slow lift through soft knees. And we'll shake it out as we come up to the front of the mat. Set the hands high on the breath in. Into the heart. Exhale slowly forwards. So hands come to the floor, let them be in front a little, and then lift up onto the fingertips and draw the chest forwards. Flatten the spine as much as you can. Lift the hips, press the feet down, and then soften a little bit as you bring the hands back in line with the toes. And allow yourself to take your right foot to the back of the mat into lunge. Lift the chest as you breathe in. Step yourself back into plank. Now we're going to take half plank and up dog. So if you need to bring the knees to the floor, please do. Otherwise, you push forwards on tiptoes. Soften the elbows towards the ribs. Inhale, strong legs, shoulders back for up dog. Roll it back into down dog. And hold here. And we'll bring the right knee in through to the front of the mat into lunge. Press forwards on the toes into that forward fold. And then squat back into chair. So taking the hands away from the floor to find balance. Line the arms up with the torso. And when that's happened, you can press through the legs to lift up. The hands come out to the side. Down by the body. Close your eyes as you take a couple of breaths. And then inhale the hands high. As you open your eyes, hands into the heart and exhale down to the floor. Remember the hands come forwards a little bit. Lift up onto the fingers, called Ardha Uttanasana. Then we fall down into Uttanasana. And the hands in line with the toes. Step back gently into plank. Take a little breath. Half plank and up dog. Back into down dog. And left leg comes in for the lunge. Fingertips, strong back leg, hips drop. And push forwards for the forward fold. Squat back deep. Hands come forwards and lift. Draw the belly in, drive through the thighs. Let the hands come out to the side. And shake it all out. Now we'll take the hands back up towards the sky on the breath in, and through the heart and exhale down to the floor. Sit back and take the hands forwards into that chair pose and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and bring the hands in towards your heart. Extend forwards through the legs and fold down. Taking the right foot into a lunge towards the back of the mat. We drop the heel in, and we'll bring ourselves into warrior 2. So we'll bring the hands onto the front thigh to lift, and open out the hands gently in line with the shoulders. So the front knee is lining up with the foot. Hopefully that's pointing forwards as well. Making sure the back leg is active. Now from here, we're going to take the hands behind the back. Move ourselves into humble warrior. So first of all, we want to draw the shoulders back and the hands down. That made the chest flare a little bit. So we're going to draw the ribs back down to the floor and tuck the tailbone down as well. Slowly rotate the chest and the hips towards the front of the mat. Pressing into the back leg, we lengthen out over the front thigh. Take a breath, and then we'll slide on the inside of the thigh as we take the hands towards the sky. As the head drops, the eyes naturally look towards that back foot. We try and keep the hips with the center line of the mat. Now, as we come out of that, we're going to lift back into warrior 2. So take a breath in, draw the belly in. Let ourselves open up back into warrior 2. As we arrive, we'll turn the front palm and take that into reverse warrior. And forwards again into warrior 2. Bring the hands high. We'll rotate slowly and bring the hands down to the floor. Then we spin the back heel once we're safe. Step it into the forward fold. Bring hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Ourselves to exhale down. Come up onto the fingertips. Get a little bit of extra stretch. Fold it in. And take the left foot back. Drop the heel in. Hands on the front thigh again. So it's an easy lift the first time round. A little time just to balance the groins out. Get the feet 50-50 weight. Make sure we're happy with ankles and the feet connection. Then think about turning the chest a little more to the long side of the mat. And let the hands come behind. Again, we'll get that little bit of a wriggle going on. As the ribs flare, we draw them back in, the tailbone goes down. We slowly rotate the body. Lengthen out, keep the back foot active. Take a breath, and then fold it in deep, down the side of that leg. Taking the hands slowly to the sky. And then we'll even our way out there, that again, nice and slow into warrior 2. Turn the hand on the front up towards the sky. We'll take that reverse warrior again. Come back slowly into our warrior 2. Lift the hands high. slowly rotate, ease our way down, spin the back heel, and step into the front of the mat. And hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Bring the hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. And take a little breath and take the right foot to the back of the mat into the lunge. Now we'll bring both hands onto the inside of that front leg. And I'm going to move the left foot all the way up to the outside edge. So I'm going to keep the heel on the mat, but I'm going to let the toes knock out to the side. Now you can bring the knee at the back down to the floor, or you can keep it lifted. It's your choice. Either way, you want to try and get a little bit of stretch through the chest forwards, so lengthening it out. Now we're letting the knee out to the left kind of hang a little bit and trying to keep the groins over the center line of the mat. Now, having got used to that position and chosen which one we think is wise for us this morning, we're going to take the hands forwards, about one and a little bit hands forwards, still keeping them shoulder distance apart. And then we're going to lower the elbows down to the floor. So you might need to take the hands a little bit further forwards, loosen them back a little bit. You're trying to have the shoulders away from the ears, broadening out. Remember, if you've come in from a high position and then think, actually, it might be better to keep my knee on the floor, that's fine. If the knee is on the floor, then untap the toes and try and press the shin down into the floor a little bit and lengthen the leg away. And then we don't stay here too long. We'll bring ourselves back up. And we're going to move back into down dog from that position. And bring the toes back onto the center line. We'll take a little breath from here and draw the right knee back in towards the chest. And we come into pigeon pose. So as we come forwards, tap the elbow and knee together. Swing the heel underneath. Let the body sink down. Untap the toes on the back foot. Walk it back a little further and come up onto the fingertips. So drawing the belly in, rolling the shoulders back. Got lift through the spine. Legs lengthening back on the long leg. And hips sinking down on the short leg. So a lot of things happening in the body all at the same time. Then we'll move back into that down dog position. We'll tuck the toe underneath, roll the shoulders back. Lift ourselves gently back in. And we'll walk the hands towards the toes. So coming into the back of the mat. Into that forward fold. And then hands onto the hips, gentle lift up. We'll shake it out as we walk up to the front of the mat and start to prepare for the second side. So feet are hip distance apart. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhaling down. We'll take the left foot back. And then bring the hands in. And walk the feet out. Turn the toes off the mat. Bring the hands back into place. Now, we're quite happy with you making the decision of saying, well, on one side, I want the knee off the ground, and on one side, I want the knee down on the ground. That is your choice. If it feels right in your body, just follow those instincts. If you feel you want to go through the same pattern as last time, that's as well okay as well. You're already starting to draw the belly in and get that length in the spine. And then we take the hand forwards. Remember, it's shoulder distance apart and about 1 and a bit forwards. And then soften the elbows down. Bring ourselves back and move into our down dog. Adjust the feet onto the center line. Bring the left knee in, tap the elbow, swing the heel under, slowly control it down, slide the foot back and lift up onto the fingertips. Roll the chest and the shoulders open. Okay, we're going to move back into our down dog. So the toes underneath, draw the belly in, lift. Move it back. Feet are about hip distance apart. Now we're going to come into side plank, but we're going to bring 1 foot a long way forward. So we'll take the feet about hip distance apart. I'm offering to bring the feet over onto their sides. We're going to move the feet over to the left as we come forwards and bring the right foot about halfway up the mat. So the shin is parallel. Bring the hand onto your hip on the right side. Left side would be tricky. And then lift, press the hips up a little bit more. You get another sort of inch or so of lift out of that. So on the side edge of the long leg, and that leg is lengthening the heel away at the same time. That's lifting the hips up. So it's not too much weight on that front hand because we're supporting with this front leg. Bring the hands back down to the floor. Step it back into the plank, just rearrange the feet. When we're happy, we float over, bring the foot forwards, bring the hand onto the hip, and get that extra bit of lift. And we'll come back into the plank. Let the knees come down to the floor, and I'm going to turn sideways on to my mat. I'm going to bring the brick in, and I'm going to bring the block into the middle as well. Mostly so I know where they are. I don't have to reach them in a minute. And the reason I'm coming in lengthways is because I'm going to be lengthening the legs out. So I'm going to offset myself a little bit because I've got long legs, but it just means that I've got something grippy underneath my feet and my hands rather than just being on carpet. So I'm going to come out onto all fours, take a little breath, and I'm going to tuck the toe on my right foot, lengthen the leg back, and then swing that out to the side 90 degrees and let the sole of the foot come to the floor. I want to try and have the knee that I'm kneeling on, that thigh to be as close to vertical as I can. I'm going to lower the right hip down to the floor a little bit, lift the left hip up a little bit, and then as I walk the hands back, come into gate pose, hopefully with these guys pretty much level. I'm going to walk my right hand down my leg as far as I comfortably can without turning the chest. So I want to keep the chest pointing to the side. As I've got as far as I comfortably can, I'm going to take the left arm up towards the sky and then fold that over and hopefully get my arms somewhere close towards my ear, but again, avoiding turning the chest in. Pressing into the foot that's extended out to the side. Pressing down into the shin a little bit, supporting, so it's not just on the knee. Last breath, bring the hand down, knees back out, and the hands to the floor. Slide the foot back behind, and then bring the knees back underneath. And we're ready for the second side. So we're just doing exactly the same. We're tucking the toes underneath on the left foot, swinging the leg out, checking that vertical thigh, pre-stabilizing the hips. So dropping that left groin down a little bit. And when you feel happy, you come back in and take the lift. Hopefully everything's pretty level. You can walk and slide your fingers down the leg. And just being careful not to turn the chest in. You want to feel the stretch deep down here rather than in the spine, towards the middle back, which is what will happen if you turn the chest, taking the right arm up. You lengthen that over, get the arm as close to the ear as you can. So strangely enough, you have to lift the head up a little bit so that it follows the line of lateral bend in the spine. Let the head drop, it gets harder to get that arm anywhere near your ear. And stretch out through the fingertips. Got a couple more breaths. Remember to press down into the outstretched leg as well, just to touch. Last breath. Bring that arm back up, let the body rise, and then come back. Just slide the foot back again. Bring the knees back down. We're pretty much going to do the same thing again. We're going to just modify it into a sleepy version. So you're going to tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and lengthen the leg out. Slide the leg out to the side. Now I'm going to pivot on my left knee and bring my heel a little bit more towards my groin line and tuck the toes underneath as well. I'm going to slowly sit back onto the heel and allow the long leg to pivot on the heel so the toes can now point up towards the sky. I'm trying to flex the foot, draw the thigh back, but press the heel out at the same time. So it's a little bit complicated. I'm sitting on the heel, pretty much into the sitting bones, and then bringing the hands in towards my heart. So the sleepy gait sounds like it should be nice and easy, but it's maybe it's a bit more of a nightmare. Who knows? And bring the hands back down to the floor. Walk the fingers forward, pivot on the heel, slide the foot back, bring the knees back underneath. Take a little breath. And then we're ready to work on the second side. So slide the left foot underneath, take the foot out to the side, pivot on that knee, bring the heel back under. Take a little adjustment if you need. Not quite get on my kneecap in a happy place this morning. Okay, and slowly sit back, pivoting on the heel. Walking the hands in. Remember, it's thigh in, heels away. So it's a double whammy for stretching. Bringing the hands in towards the heart. And then we'll bring the hands to the floor. Let that heel pivot, slide the foot back, and bring ourselves back into a heel seating position. Okay, so we're going to use the brick and the block. Let's have the block underneath me, sort of landscape-wise. I'm going to turn it again, and I'm going to have the brick out to the side for the moment. As I come in, I'm going to tuck the toes underneath, and bring the heels onto the corner edges of that mat, of the block. Try and use as much of that as I can. And I'm going to walk out my feet to a comfortable spread. And then I'm going to take the brick and I'm going to put that underneath my sitting bones so that I'm actually seated. Now, if it feels more comfortable to take the feet forwards a little bit and have them flat on the floor, that's fine, not a problem. But it's just to get us into a position that's safe and easy to be in. Using the arms a little bit to open the legs out and fingers on the floor. I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to slowly stretch out my right leg wide open to the side as I can. Toes pointing towards the sky. I'm still trying to get this thigh in, heel away movement. Just as we did before at the very beginning of the class, I'm going to lean forwards a little bit and take that left hand out to the side. So I'm now pressing my knee into the back of the top of my arm. I'm going to take the right arm up as well, out just as we did before. I'm going to turn both palms backwards. I'm going to slowly bring my left hand back towards my left hip and then bring my right hand back. Let me see if I can get the fingers to touch. Get a lock. And then if I can, I draw the chest forwards a little bit and enjoy that bound sensation. Now, one day, the legs will be far enough out to the side and our heels will be flat to the floor and we won't need any props. But it just won't be this Easter. Probably isn't going to be next Easter either. Maybe in another 20 years or so. I'm going to release from there. Bring the body to sit more upright. Use the hand underneath the leg to draw that in. Place the heel back in onto the block. Allow myself to extend the opposite leg out to the side. Take that in as wide as you practically can. Long leg. Body sits up tall. Lean forwards a little bit now to the side. So you take the right hand flat to the floor, pressing the leg and the arm together. Going to take the left hand out. Turn both palms back. Bring the hand back towards the hip. Put the hand around your back. Fingers to find themselves. Draw the chest forwards. So enjoying a slight forward fold and a twist in the spine. And then you can focus on the long leg again. Heel away, thigh in. And then we'll release. And come back out of that again. Just bring the leg in. Oops. Now I'm going to lean forwards enough so I can take the brick back out. Just put that to the side. Sit down. Put the hands behind. And the legs out in front. And then I'm going to take a full seated twist. I'm going to take my right leg underneath. Trying to work out which one I've done last time. So the knees pointing forwards, foot is out towards the heel. Bring that across and in. Both sitting bones attached to the floor or the block. Tilt the pelvis forwards. I'll take the right arm up, fold it across, turning it towards my left. Pressing the sitting bones down and the pelvis forwards just a little bit. Just really helps open up the chest. Strange that you get height from pressing down. And we'll release from there. Untangle them legs. Lengthen them out. We'll take it to the second side. So nice and gently. Okay, and we'll release from there. Now, as we take the legs out in front, we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together, but I'm not going to take a close version. I'm going to have the same distance between the knee and the hip as I've got between knee and ankle. So the soles of the feet are just touching. They're going to wriggle forwards a little bit onto the front edge of the sitting bones, and then bring the hands in towards the ankles. Lift up through the pelvis, get the spine as flat as a cat, and then tilt the pelvis over. Gradually feed myself into forward version. I like to take my elbows outside. That's a personal choice. And draw the chest forwards rather than down. Just see how low that takes you. So really not working very hard into the arms at all. Actually trying to spread the shoulders out and away a little from the ears. Keep the head in line with the body. Just feel about half a minute left. And we'll just allow the hands to come to the floor. Slowly bring ourselves back up. And hands underneath. And let the legs lengthen out. Now, as you do that, bring the hands on the inside of your thighs and spread the legs out wide again. Now bring the left heel in towards the groin and turn the body towards the left knee. Now take the right hand out down along the shin of the right leg. Keep turning the chest towards your left knee. Use your index finger, middle finger around the big toe if you can hook. Lengthen out through the heel. I'm going to take the left hand and just float that around the spine and see if we can bring our fingers somewhere towards the right thigh. So looking over the left shoulder and up towards the sky a little bit. Press the sitting bones down and lengthen the chest up and out to the side. Still trying to get your chest and your heart to face the same direction as your left knee. I can release from there, back up. Cross the legs over, and out the opposite way. And when you're ready, you're going to feed that left hand down. Find the big toe. See if you can get an elbow and a shin together. Start to lengthen the body out, and then that right hand is going to come round and see if we can get again close-ish towards that front thigh, looking over the back shoulder. And we lengthen the body up and out. We lengthen out through the heel. We draw the thigh back in. we'll release from there as well. Come back up. Now we're just going to bring the heels in to Sukhasana, the same pose we started with at the beginning. Going to let the hands come forward, lift up, hinge over the hips, and go as low as you feel comfortable to do, which might not be very low, but it might well be that you can bring yourself all the way down to the floor. If you want to extend the hands out in front, you can do. Now, when I do this, my buttocks do lift off of the ground. I try and press them towards the back of the mat a little bit, but there is still quite a bit of lift. Use hands to press into the floor to lift up, and not forgetting to just change over the crossing of the feet. So taking them out and then bringing them back in the opposite way. Keep it balanced. Take a little more time to get yourself sorted. Make sure you're happy with knees and ankles, hips. And then slowly walk the fingers forward. So you tilt the pelvis over. Heel presses into the groin. Put the hands as far forward as you can, or you wish. You can bring them back underneath the head. You might just be at 30, 40 degree angle, not a problem. There might be considerable differences between one side of the body and the other. So don't be feeling obligated to get to the same position on both sides. It's quite okay to take what looks like significant